that leaves the muzzle, but a lot of it stays with your weapon. Now, at first, it just evacuates around the cracks and crevices, and, it bleeds away, and it's not going to interfere with the operation of the firearm. Well, then after a while, what happens is kind of like, have you ever shoveled snow during the winter and said, oh, Don, I'm not going to shovel over there by that corner of the garage, that little niche that goes in there? And then the next time it snows is, well, Don, that other stuff is frozen down. It's hard to shovel when the other snow's on it. And then the third snow, it's like, Don, I wish I'd shoveled it the first time because all those first two are...
the garage door open.
Oh, man, I got to chisel...
What does that equate to? A garage door failure.
Yeah, I got to chisel that stuff out now.
Yeah.
What do I do? Well, the same is true. Think about it. As you fire and as you use a weapon, more and more of that carbon, which at first was not a significant issue, is building up in the same place over and over again. A little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little more. Overall, it starts to pile up. Well, like that garage door, progressively something's going to go, I can't move. Now, it might be the sear. It could be just simply the slide's going to start gumming up. It could be that there's enough gunk around the extractor that the extractor doesn't want to lever properly so that it helps to, evacuate the case. And what will happen is you'll either have failure to feed, failure to extract or eject. You may have a stovepipe. That's where the case, either loading, you might have a problem there, but that could be something different. But where you actually the round fails to feed and then actually locks up perpendicular to the mouth of the chamber.
Yep.
The other is when failed to extract, and actually you have a stovepipe inside the weapon where the case that's expended a bullet actually is sitting upright and is stomped back into the chamber.
Now, here's another one, you guys, and this will explain one of those mysterious words and phrases inside the gun world that a lot of people have a problem grasping. Headspace. Now, let's talk about headspace for a minute, and we're going to lead to failure from headspace. But, when I measure something on the East Coast and it's 65 degrees compared to what I measure on someplace in California and it's 90, the temperature and the things, even the measuring tool expands. But what I'm getting at here is what are called production standards. And if a bullet manufacturer, and many times it's a good reason to feed if you can afford, as example, if you own a Remington gun, feed it Remington ammunition. Why? Because they know what size the cutters were that built, and they know how far the cutter went in to the exacting, to the 100,000ths. And for chamber, size, and whatnot. Now, the guy out there building bullets, he knows to a great extent what size that chamber is, but he wants his bullet to feed into your gun. So he's going to build that brass ever so slightly smaller than the chamber. Now, when you pull the trigger, we know this, you guys. We've talked about the difference between fresh versus fire-formed brass in building accuracy. We've talked about that over time. But guess what? If you're reloading and you're cutting your throats and whatnot, and you close the bolt, and we'll use this as example on your 50. You close the bolt on your 50, and this will happen right down to even 22s because of, again, back over to head spacing and manufacturer's tolerances. When you pull the trigger and you start sending all that expanding gas, what's happening there is a solid is burning so fast it's expanding into a gas. Now, all of it doesn't burn. Let's go back to that. Close that bolt on that 50. Pull the trigger. You send the bullet down range. You open that bolt, and you see a little bit of soot, and now it's easiest to see. See, the bigger things get, sometimes the easier the problems are to spot. And you know what I'm trying to say here, Mark. And you guys, this is why I bring the 50 to the table to use as example. You open that bolt, and you bring that empty casing out, and you see soot around the neck. You have to read that for what it is. What that tells you is you've cut the neck, everything above the shoulder that contains the bullet itself, in the crush. You've cut that too thin. You've still probably got enough crush there to contain your bullet. There's even different variants of how tight you set the bullet into the neck will affect your accuracy. But if you're seeing soot at the front of your empty cartridge, the front of your empty brass as it comes out, guess what that's going to do over time? Eventually, one isn't going to go to chamber. Eventually, one isn't going to come out. But look at all of that that's building up right there in a key area. You guys, you know what wears out in barrels first and is exampled again in the 50 because they hit hard and they got a lot of burn and they make lots of pressure and everything? The throat. The immediate area between the chamber where the bullet actually moves for that 10,000s, 20,000s, 40,000s until it contacts the lands. Now those lands jump up ever so slightly and, give that spin to the bullet. That's what takes the most wear in a barrel.